My name's Marty. I am an account executive here at Chili Piper. So kind of an intro into this is, as I was interviewing for Chili Piper, it started off as this tool started off as prospecting, actually more related to the job search, because as we know now, job searching looks a lot like prospecting. And then as I was going through this, I was like, you know what, this would actually be a really good prospecting tool and something that I think I'd be able to show off during this process. And so I built this as I was interviewing for Chili Piper, and it was also just a really good project for me to learn Claude Code and how to build it. So that's my intro. Nicola, would you like me just
Yeah,
to jump right
yeah,
into it?
yeah, go for it. Cool.
All right, perfect. Yeah, I like to keep these interactive. So if you do have any questions, you can add it to the chat. If somebody could let me know if there's a question in the chat, I'm not great at multitasking in that area, but I'll go ahead and share my screen and run through what I've built.
I'll monitor it for you, Marty, the chat.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. So really what I want to start off talking about is kind of the tools I use to build this, and then actually going into, what this tool can do, and then maybe do a little bit of live of like pushing a cadence out. So to start off with, I like to use a tool called Visual Studio Code. And Visual Studio Code is essentially just a way to, bring in Claude Code and do all of your building in a singular place. For me, it's just a really easy way to organize and build the folders. So if you see here, I have all these folders on the left, and they actually coincide directly with folders within my Finder. So if I go into this prospecting tool, you can actually see all of those files were created in Visual Studio Code, and everything that's built and created just goes directly to my Finder. And so where I like to also start off is how I even started to build this. And as I was going through my Claude training, I found this kind of structure to build things called WAT, W-A-T, which stands for workflows, agents, and tools. The workflows are what you want to get done. The agents are going to be the agents that do it for you, and those agents are going to use tools. So that could be Pythons, that could be connecting to MCPs, that could be using API codes to really, start building this thing out and start running different workflows. And what's great about this framework is that these agents will actually see if anything's broken, and they'll fix themselves as you run these. They'll be like, hey, there's actually an error. There must be an update somewhere. Let me dig into it. I'm going to make all the changes accordingly. So, when we're talking about N8N or, different workflow tools, they can actually break if something within, the system it's talking to has changed. So what's great with this framework is that it will actually fix itself. So if you see here, all of my projects start with this Watt framework MD file. You can see that in my Chili Piper, this MD file, this email manager started with this MD file that is located here. And just real rough, what it says is, hey, here's the Watt infrastructure, workflows, agents, tools, how to operate, look for existing tools, learn and adapt when things fail, keep workflows current, self-improvement loop. This is where it fixes itself and constantly gets better. It also does my directory. So, when I say, hey, I want to do this, creates the directory for me. And the bottom line, you sit between what I want and what actually gets done. And the tools, your job is to read these instructions, make smart decisions, call the right tools, recover from errors, and keep improving the system as you go. So if you add this to your file, and then you go to Claude Code and say, hey, I want to build a prospecting tool that, builds a map and then creates a cadence. You just ask it to do that, and it will go to the SWOT framework. And I always start in plan mode, and it'll give you the plan, and it will then build accordingly. So
Marty, I have
that's
two.
real.
I have two questions. The first question is, I had not seen that before. This MD file that kind of prefaces everything. Can I ask you, where did you find that? It was
Yeah. So
somebody recommended it.
yeah. So there's this guy on YouTube. His name is Nate Herc, and he
Okay.
has this like 10-hour course of Claude
Yeah.
Code that I was like, this is going to be really important for my future and what I want to do in my role. So I watched this 10-hour video and I got it directly from him. So
Cool.
it's definitely borrowed.
All right, we'll put the source in the Slack.
Absolutely.
My second question, did you modify it from the file you recommended to adapt it to your project, or did you just copy and paste and it works for everybody?
This is all copied and pasted. And then actually what I'll show you in my new tool is that it then took that original. And as we built out this project, I would just ask it to update the MD file accordingly to be more efficient and be more related to what I'm actually doing. So let me just first put in here what this tool can do, and then I'll show you how it relates to that new updated MD file.
Cool.
So what can you do? Really easily, it's gonna, look through and say, hey, I'm your outbound prospecting automation agent. If I put in any of these commands, that's what it's going to do. So the new account is going to do research, prep me. It's going to give me preparation, multi-thread, find me contacts, and enrich, batch outreach, create my kind of outreach flow, give me a weekly review, and maybe a breakup email if they're not responding to anything. Here you can see what's under the hood. Before I didn't have these tools, and I worked with Chili Piper, and we have access to a number of tools that we can then connect to. So I've been able to connect a ton of these tools into my workflow. And so if we actually look at the new MD file, you'll see when I created this, I was like, hey, I want to create this prospecting tool. So, agent identity, you are the outbound prospecting automation agent. Here's the memory for what I'm doing. Give me ICP qualifiers, use the Watt infrastructure. It then, as it started building, told me about my inventory, how to operate my file structure. But what I really like about this is here at the bottom, and it said, you're not an SDR. Prospecting is surgical, not volumetric. Account selection and research depth is the best. Every touch demonstrates homework. Buyers smell templates. Multi-threading is single highest leverage. Prospecting compounds. So the bottom line is you sit between what I want and what I want to get done. I want to prospect and I want it to be more surgical and I want it to have more voice, is essentially what this is saying to do. So,
I would hope that the SGRs also go in depth and have a voice, but I hear you. So
absolutely. And
just kidding, just kidding. Keep going.
absolutely. And the best part about this is it will give you an outreach cadence and it'll still be a little, I don't know. This is where the human comes in, is it will still give you
Mm,
some interaction where you're like, that looks a little AI-y. I don't know if that's the correct adjective, but it looks a little AI and it's like, I want to make some changes here and there. And so, that's where the human touch comes in. It's like, is this actually my voice? Is this actually what I want to send off?
cool.
And so, yeah, these are all the things it can do. And what I'll just show now is some of the outputs of it, just because Claude Code can take a little bit to actually to build these, just because it's talking to servers, doing certain work. And then I'll tell you a little bit how we can actually push now to SalesLoft or your outreach or your sequencer. So here, we're using Lead IQ to enrich contacts. I use Chili Piper an example, but it knows I'm an AE at Chili Piper. So when I asked, it was like, you sure you want to do this? I'm like, it's a test. Yeah, go ahead. So it's given me some different stakeholders that they think would be important in what they call the POISE framework, which is just finding economic buyers. We have Scott in there and a number, and we got Maria in there who will be presenting to us, but they are leading the SDR team. So those are probably relevant connections. And then it created the outreach CSV here. So this is a CSV with just your outreach and the
I'm
cadence.
sorry, I have a question because this is
Of
pretty
course.
good. Pretty good. It's pretty much the people you should reach out to. Uh, you just gave the instruction based on the product I sell. Find me the right contacts, or you were more precise than that in your instructions.
In my instructions, I actually just put in new account Chili Piper. So if I have a named of list accounts,
But
as you
in
kind of,
terms of who to look for within an account.
oh yeah, I put in like, just that's another human element is that you are probably know who's best to reach out to. So it's
Got
like,
it.
hey,
Okay.
give me the marketing operations, give me
Okay.
the
Got
VP
it.
of marketing, et cetera, et
Okay. All right.
cetera.
So if I was selling security software, I would write, give me the CTO, give me the chief security officer, give me that, you that adapt that piece.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. So here's the outreach. And then also we have things like a scorecard that we can use. This is something that I'm still working on. Actually, I don't even, we're doing an internal scorecard, so I'll actually be able to kind of connect that to this. So, there's different things you need to definitely look out for, make sure that it's running properly. Once it's running properly, you're kind of off to the races. Um, but so we have this. It's like, hey, here's the company, here's the cadence, here's the ICP. I can prep you for these meetings, which is great. But then Nicola asked me yesterday, "Hey, can we connect this to our sequencer, SalesLoft?" And I was like, "We can't quite do Gong because they don't have their MCP available yet, which hopefully is going to be soon. But can you connect this to SalesLoft?" And I was like, "I was planning on it, but I hope so. Let's try it out." And so what I did here is I essentially just asked Claude Code, "Hey, I want to connect to SalesLoft. I want to put this sequence into SalesLoft to make sure that we're following the right steps and that I can actually do this cadence in my sequencer." And so I did plan mode, and what plan mode will do is essentially go through it, see what it needs to do, and give you a plan. And then after you accept it or give it changes, it'll run through that plan. So if I go to the plan that it told me to do, I said, "Hey, I want this to go to SalesLoft." And so it gave me everything I needed to do that. And when I say I needed to do it, for Claude Code to do it, because I don't know code, I don't know how to build Python scripts, I don't know how to do any of that. Claude Code built this all. So this is how we connected to SalesLoft, is through this plan. I was like, looks good, let's do it. Um, Before I actually show you what that looks like in SalesLoft, actually, let's see if we can just here. Let's push the cadence to Scott in SalesLoft. We're doing this live, so we'll see how it works. I do have another one as a fallback. So this is going to push the outreach to Scott into SalesLoft. But as this is working, something I want to note here is that we have these folders. So within this TMP, this is actually like if I were to do multiple accounts, they'd each have their own folder with their outreach, with their scoring, etc. And then the tools. This is all the tools that this tool uses. And you can see there's a lot of Python here. I don't know any Python, so code and the agent said you're going to need these to do what you want to do. They added these to these tools file, and then the workflows. So all those things that it said, "Hey, I can do this, this, and this." Each one has its own MD where it's saying, "Hey, these are the steps you're going to take to build this cadence, to build this research, et cetera, et cetera." All right, let's see. This is still running. Um, so let's see how long it takes. If it takes a little bit too long, I'll just go to someone else's cadence that it built. So actually, let's just go over there and let's see. Let's go over there now, read export. So right now you can see that this one I actually did for Maria, who's up next. Something that it wasn't able to do is push calls because it's an internal chili piper. So there's like certain types of settings like do not call, do not things that you can actually set up in SalesLoft. But as you can see here, we actually have, hey, day one, I want to email, I want to do LinkedIn connection. The message is sent in here. Day five, we have another email. Day eight, we have LinkedIn message, and then day 14, we're doing more of a breakup call. Let's see. Yeah, this is still working, so hopefully it finishes by the time I'm finished. But if not,
Mm.
this is essentially the end product of the outreach. So
So
as
that
this
that first email was generated. All of them were actually generated by your process. Yeah, the content of the email in there that you're showing
correct,
us.
correct.
Yeah.
Cool. So as this is running, hopefully again it runs in the time, but I'd like to open up to any questions. Anyone have any questions, comments, etc.
I'm
Hey Marty,
curious.
this is Mark. This is awesome. Is this running only locally on your machine, or are you able to share this with other folks?
Correct. Yeah. So this is running locally on my machine right now. But like I said before, this could be pushed into a GitHub if I wanted it to. Also push it to something like a Lovable if I wanted more visual around it. But like I said before, I actually created this before joining Chili Piper. And so what I was able to do is post it locally on my personal computer. And I asked Claude, how do I migrate this over into my work computer? Because I want this to work. Gave me the full plan. I think I moved two things over, and then it was up and running on my work computer.
So we have a GitHub repository that we want to share for the GTM collective. So if that's okay with you, Marty, we'll push it there. That way it'll be accessible to all the members. That sound good,
Sure.
Mark?
Sure. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
we need to figure it out like with I have a couple of API codes in there, so we'll definitely need to hide them so they're not using our APIs.
Right.
And Marty, do you have an idea of the token usage that you're getting on the run?
I don't. I could ask, but I'm not sure the token usage at this point.
We are very generous at Chile. Right now we're exploring, so we
Yeah, and what
we
is
don't really
great
know.
about kind of this framework as well is that at any point you can say, "Hey, I want to limit my usage of tokens. Give me some tools to do it." It'll put, some memory things in there. The MD files on the workflows is great because it actually, if you want to do one certain thing, it would actually just go to that certain MD file instead of running through the entire MD file every single time. So that's a part of the WAP framework is that it's constantly, it's constantly kind of trying to better itself. If I also put like within that first MD file, hey, keep token or utilization limited, like it would then work within that framework as well. All right, so real quick, looks like it was created. So let's just check to make sure. Oh, wrong. Let's just check to make sure. We'll go to cadences, go to Scott. I'm using someone else's API key, which is why you'll see this here. And let's see. All right, it's not showing up. So,
Question for you, Marty. Misha here.
Mhm.
How has this improved your conversions? So like at the end of the day, like we need this obviously to drive pipeline, right? So how have you seen this increase your conversions in your pipeline?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I don't quite have those numbers yet because I am still fresh at Chili Piper and still onboarding. So I will be able to actually find those numbers out as I, really start getting into my prospecting and my deal cycles. But currently, I'm still on the onboarding phase. So I wish I could give you better numbers, and maybe in a month I can tell you how amazing my close rate and pipeline conversion is. And yeah, so what I just showed before I closed my screen is that it did create that new cadence. But what I do like, yes, I am emphasizing what I built with this prospecting tool. But what I really like to emphasize with this framework is that you can build anything with it. That framework, the Watt framework, you literally just start with that MD and you say, I want to build this. And that framework will allow you to build anything. I've built a email manager from it. I actually built a food ordering because I got really tired of food planning and doing ordering. So like it now does that for me on a weekly basis. So this can be used for anything, and for prospecting, I think it's just I mean it's such a easy. It's just something that every AE needs. And so
Uh,
for me to build it, it was not only a
right.
test, but it was also just something that I wanted to make sure worked and testing out this framework.
Maybe we'll demo your food ordering, stepping in GTM in a very broad sense. So
Of course.
eating a dog food. Cool. Thank you so much, Marty. Let's move on now to Maria. So Maria is our director of sales development, and she's going to show something how we've improved the process using AI. We've had SDRs for a long time, so we had a process that was quite well worked out, and we've just improved. Go for it, Maria.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Let me share my screen, but I will start saying that I already need that auto improvement thing, Marty, because I've been debugging this since building. So one of the biggest learnings from building AI things is that you're going to be debugging things for a long time, which is fun. We learn a lot. But basically, this is the face of what I build, because it's something that doesn't have like a cute, lovable interface, or like somewhere where my SDRs will talk to and ask things, because I didn't want them to lose time doing those things. We already have like a process that is super, like the flow looks good. And what I needed is to help them fill out some specific information about people, about companies in their cadences, and personalize more with quality. So basically, this is what they did before. So let me make it bigger. This is what they did before. Like they're writing, they're sending an email. We have specific cadences for all the different use cases and everything, but they did need to fill out a lot of specific things, like which competitor are they using? What form do they have on their website? What are the fields on that form? So a lot of research, which would take like, I don't know, around 10, 12 minutes per account. They work more than 30 accounts per week. So that's a lot of time. That's more than 6 hours, almost a work day just doing this. But I didn't want them to do this full, like, let's create a different cadence for every different person, because we work with way more volume than a dedicated AE. So what I tried to build was something that would already give it to them where they work with, which is inside of SalesLoft, where they just need to check the quality of what was built. So a lot of my time was spent checking with them if the quality of the personalization was good enough. So I did many rounds with my senior SDRs of like, this is what it created. How would you change it? How would you say things differently? How would it sound more like you? Until we get to it. But basically what it does, it's running every 15 minutes for every 80 people, the last 80 people that were added to a different cadence on SalesLoft. So every 15 minutes, it's checking if there's new people enrolled in cadences and generating all of this. So it goes to Salesforce, it pulls all the contacts that are in cadences, pulls all the account context. So it says if there's a past op, if you already talked to them, which cadences they already received, what competitors do they have, their tech stack. And besides doing that, like in many different ways, using many different tools, it goes to Claude and it asks it to create a snippet of personalization for us to talk to these people. So it's just a part of an email. It's a beginning of the email, which we call a snippet inside of SalesLoft, with a very tight prompt, because we need them to, like, we needed to follow very specific rules to write things properly. It's one of the hardest parts. And then it sends all the information to SalesLoft and to Salesforce, so we keep everything like clean. And the only thing that the SDRs need to do is to keep up with their tests in SalesLoft, and they will see it already filled out in their cadence. So these are some examples of what it generated. I just removed the name of the companies, but it just creates one paragraph basically with very specific stuff about that company. And then the email continues as it is in the template. Another important thing for me, I use templated emails that we worked on like a long time to make work. We do a lot of A/B tests. So if I had one different cadence for every different person, it's really hard to measure what is working and what is not. So with this, it's easier for us to measure and scale. Yeah, this is just to show like how different it was from how it was building before, like very AI-ish, until we got to actually make it sound natural. And just some learnings, and I can go deeper on the flow if anyone wants to see anything specifically. There's a lot of silent failures, and one of the things that I've been like appreciating the most is I have very specific SDRs that want things to work, and they're every day they send me like, this one didn't receive the snippet. This snippet doesn't sound like me. This doesn't work. So it really helps me, because then every day I can see like, okay, I need to improve this. I need to improve that. I need to do that. So having that, and now knowing about the auto improvement tool, I really want that, because that will help me keeping those things up. Since these tools have like, they can generate everything, they can even like hallucinate. We need to be very specific with prompting. And for quality of emails, we need to be very, very, very specific for that. So I have to have rules like never say this, never say that. Like you can only use this amount of phrases, this amount of words. So you need to be very specific so the quality keeps being better. AI has been inventing numbers, at least for me. I don't know how it is for everyone, but sometimes it reads a thing that is 15 and it reads 14, and I'm like, well, I just gave you the right number. So what I learned is that we need to put some sort of code to clean up these numbers before AI digests it, so it receives on the right format and it doesn't hallucinate too much on them. And yeah, building is the first thing. Like you build this very fast nowadays, on the way things are evolving, but making it actually work and be something that instead of losing time, you're actually gaining with it is where you spend most of the time. And just to show you how it is right now, you were asking about results. Basically, like for example, this is one A/B test I'm doing. In one of them, we have the personalization snippet. So here is where it would feed that big paragraph. And in the other one is just like a templated email. And these are the custom fields that I was saying, like it's researching and also filling out that automatically. And when you compare already, just because it's already starting the email with personalization, my open rate is like almost 10% bigger than the other one. So it's been super helping with like speed and everything. So now it's just on
Just to
the
make sure I get it
oiling
right,
part.
you say your open rate is
Mhm.
10 points higher.
Almost
So-
like 28 to 36.
Yeah,
Eight.
right. So it's that's a 10% improvement. It's
No.
50% improvement.
Points. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's basically it. So
Do you want to show maybe
any
just
questions?
quickly this is the workflow, maybe the prompts
Mhm.
that you've been using?
Ooh, yes, I can. It's kind of gigantic. So it's just like a big, long work of like improving and making sure it gets all the information. So it generates Salesforce fields and personalization snippet, what for, all the fields that it looks for, and then some rules. So for example, the cadence template that follows your snippet always starts with a CTA question, so you shouldn't have a CTA question. Forbidden things, curious if, no, don't do that. Curious whether, blah, 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 don't do that. So I have all the forbidden things that it can't say. Real examples of CTA collision, because like my email already has a CTA, so I don't want it to have another. So I put real examples too. Yeah, everything that you need. Like you need to be very detailed on everything that it does. It has, for example, here, a fallback on like what should you talk first? Like if they have a competitor and they talked to us before, do you want to talk about the close loss we had before or the competitor? So the order of what you want to talk about also is important to add. So yeah, I'm happy to share the like. I know that our rules will not be applicable to everyone, but at least the structure of the rules could be super useful. So I'm happy to share that with anyone that needs it.